stream to start over there. Any minute now. There it goes. Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? And welcome back to my kitchen. I just finished up a week at work. It is Friday, and I also mowed this gigantic lawn out back and took down a tree that had fallen. So I am exhausted and I am starving. So tonight we are going to do some beef stroganoff, and also some chopped beef for sandwiches, hot beef and Swiss. I don't have any buns for that, but I do have these wonderful little croissants that we're going to eat that on. In the meantime, let's turn our stove on and start the pasta going for the beef stroganoff. Alright, so we will turn that on. Here, let me get you guys positioned around here, just so that I can talk to you while I am over here. Let me make sure that's running. Yeah, everything's good. All right, we're good to go. And we don't want the noodles to stick to one another, so a little olive oil. A little olive oil. Yeah. One of these days I'll get used to this whole streaming gig. All right, so while we wait, we have got beef for the chopped beef, hamburger for the beef stroganoff, lettuce for sandwiches, sour cream, which is a little past its date but smells fine, and I don't know, do we want to put peas in it? I think we do. Peas are always good. Now, what we're going to do is get a few more things ready. We're going to want some little beef bouillon powder to put in the sour cream sauce on the beef. And we're also going to want to chop up some onion and get some chives and things like that. So let's start on that while we wait for this water to boil. Nothing like watching water boil, eh? Actually, first things first, I should probably tie my mop back. There we go. Well, that's a little tight. There we go. So, we now have onions, and my hair's not going to get in any of them, so let's get us a cutting board and cut these up real quick. Now, if you will recall, I made porcupine meatballs the other night, and this is the leftover onion. Just peel off the outer layer to make sure we've got everything fresh. And we will just sliver it up. I really need to sharpen this knife. It's my favorite knife, but I haven't sharpened it in a while, and it's starting to show. I'd have this onion cut up by now normally. And remember, a dull knife is not your friend. Dull knives in the kitchen lead to more accidents and cuts than sharp knives because they tend not to grip well into, well, they tend not to bite well into what you're cutting, and they tend to slip, and they may not be sharp enough to really bite into what you're trying to cut, but yet still fully sharp enough to go into your finger. So always keep your knife sharp, lads and ladies. And that should be good right there. Oh, we got some on the back side of the knife here. I'll just go ahead and fry that up with the hamburger here in a second. And I might go ahead and start on that so that you guys don't have to watch water boil. But that being said, we'll set this aside a second and get another cutting board. And since I'm going to retire this knife for the afternoon after this anyway, we might as well go ahead and cut up our beef for our chopped beef. Now, what I will probably do before I cut it up is to hit it with our tenderizer a little bit. First, let's season it. So a little salt, a little black pepper. I still need more black pepper. And I think I want some sage. Don't worry, we're going to rub it in. Let's get some onion powder for this real quick. Onion powder is always good on beef. There we go. And last but not least, I want a nice herby taste. Here we go, celery salt. Yeah, celery salt's always good on beef. Now, let's just soften that up a little bit. There we go. Let's go check on this water. It sounds like it might be boiling. And it is, so it's time to throw in some noodles. There we go. That ought to do the trick. All right. Now, let's go ahead and slice this real thin into strips, and then we'll come back and go the other way on it. Come on. Okay, roll that up and just shave those off the end. There we go. Now it comes pre-seasoned and it's ready to throw in a pan and be cooked up to eat on my sandwich. And I'll probably cook that with some mushrooms. All right, let's see what you guys are up to. Anything? No? Well, good. Although, hold please. Someone is attempting to contact me. Making porcupine meatballs again. It's my mom. No, Mom, comma, I am actually... Why am I texting you? You're watching. I'm making beef stroganoff, and I'm also making chopped beef for sandwiches. And I'm trying not to burn my noodles here. I should probably turn those down. And I'm going to set this meat aside because I'll cook it last because it's for the sandwiches. Let me put that over here and put this knife in the sink. Wash my hands and we'll get going on the beef for the stroganoff. Now, we're going to need a little bit deeper pot than I usually use. So, oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. There we go. So, what I think I'm going to use is this one. Let's make sure it's clean, because I haven't used it in a while, and there very well could have settled some dust in it. And dust does not taste good in your food. Uh-oh! It looks like I'm getting a raid! Hello! How's it going? It looks like, Zeta! Nice to have you here. Thank you for stopping by. Awesome! Well, welcome to the kitchen. We're making... Oh! That's why Mom asked that. I forgot to change the, thing on top here. Let me fix this. Beef stroganoff. I can spell, I just can't type. There we go. All right. Yeah, let's get this on the stove real quick. I'm gonna need gloves. And we'll move this off to the side. We'll get this on there. And what we're gonna want, besides turning this on, come on. I haven't used this burner in a while. Let me get a lighter. I don't want my kitchen to blow up. There we go. Much better. All right, where was I? Oh yeah, butter. Butter. I still got plenty of this left. Now, we don't need the butter for the hamburger, but we do need it for the onions, which we're going to saute just before we put the hamburger in there. And we're going to drain the grease off afterward, so it's not a big deal. But you do have to have some so that your onions don't get dry and gross. Alrighty. Let's just get those in there. Those smell good. So we check on our noodles. By the way, thanks for the heads up, Ma. I didn't remember to change my caption up at the top. I could use a little bit more butter. I don't think I'm going to use this knife anymore. I had this one for a long time, but now blue paint is starting to come off of it. So I think I will retire it until such time as I can scrape all of the blue paint off of it, and it will be safe for food again. Although I'm sure that whatever they coated it with is probably already food safe, but why would you risk it? There we go. Get all your hamburger out. You could probably turn that down a little bit. I'll be right back. Very nice. Now you're going to have to break up your hamburger, which in this case is easier said than done because I didn't let it set out long enough and it's still kind of cold. But if you're patient, it should break up fine in no time. All else fails, get you a potato masher. You know, I was teasing, but that would probably actually work. What I'm trying to do is scoop up all of the onions into the hamburger so that they're not directly all on the bottom of the pan and still getting the brunt of the heat, because if we do that, they will eventually burn. And we don't want that. I also have this forelock that has escaped my ponytailer, and it's driving me bats. So we'll fix that soon too. Okay. We'll just let that sit a minute, and I can probably turn it up. Also a lid so that it cooks evenly. And while it's probably too big of a lid, it'll let you guys see what's going on. Alright, so now, next thing to do is I have this sour cream. Like I said, it smells fine, but it's a little old, so we're going to drain the juice off the top of it. That smells good. I do love sour cream. Although, and I think I've probably told this story on stream before, but once when I was a kid, we all went to a Ponderosa steakhouse. And it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's got like steak, and you know, you go up and there's all the things on the thing. Anyway, they had these little churros, these little cinnamon twists that were like deep-fried dough coated in sugar and cinnamon, and I got some, and I looked, and there was this great big thing sitting right next to him, just right next to him. And I thought, ooh, whipped cream, so I dolloped it on there. I got lots of it. And why it was sitting next to the churros, I'll never know, but it was not whipped cream, it was whipped sour cream, and it took me a long time afterward to warm up to sour cream again, but I think I've managed to. That said, let's mess with this hamburger just a little bit and see what we got going. Yeah, it's really starting to soften up, and we can probably break it up a little bit easier. We don't want it in big chunks because it's going to be part of our sauce, you know. Little chunks is fine, you know, you want something that's toothsome, but you don't want these great big blobs of hamburger, so. While that cooks, we could probably also drain the pasta. Which means we'll want a sieve, and we will want our oven mitts. Uh-huh. There we go. Beautiful. Now what I'll do is I will actually put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of this pan. It's not turned on, but a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. And then we'll just toss the noodles a little bit to get the water off of them. And we'll dump them in the pan here. Ooh, those are still a little warm. Very warm. There we go. Waste not, want not. And I will need these. Since there's olive oil in the bottom of this, we just toss them in it a little bit. And this will keep the noodles from drying out or sticking while we wait for the rest of our sauce to finish. Now that hamburger's starting to look real good, and what I'm going to need to do is move this sieve out of the way, because I'm going to need a different sieve so that I can drain the grease off of this. Another little pan just to catch the grease, because you do not want to pour hamburger grease down your drain. Sieve, strainer, mesh, whatever you want to call it, in the pan, stick it in the sink, and it'll be ready to drain this grease into in a minute. Maybe slightly more than a minute, but you know, close enough. This is going to be really tasty. So what are you guys up to today? Any plans for the weekend? Anything good? Let me know about it over there. Well, over there in chat. Oh. It's usually a good idea to season your noodles too. Because if you don't, sometimes it will detract from the flavor because they're bland. You know, no matter how savory your sauce is, when you mix them with bland noodles, it kind of halves the flavor. So always put a little bit of seasoning in with your noodles. I'm going to get some chives to throw in there. Yeah, chives. Why? Because I like chives. All right. I'll tell you what else is good in beef stroganoff is parsley and sage and all kinds of other things. So we'll season it up when we get to the sauce part of it. But for right now, we need to let the hamburger kind of finish cooking a little bit so we can get the grease off of it. And then we'll cook up that chopped beef. Hello, how you doing? As you can see, it's a rather beef-intensive evening. Also a little bit of a grease-intensive evening. And me having just cleaned my stove, I'm not really happy with my choice, but it's going to be delicious, so. Alright, the hamburger is not completely done, but it's in that magic place called done enough, to where we can drain the grease off of it and start making the sauce around it. So I am just going to take it out of this pan, and you know what? There's a lot of grease. So I think I'm actually going to rinse the pan before we start, or wash the pan before we start cooking the sauce in it, because, ooh, that's hot. I don't want a whole lot of grease in this. Grease makes it oily, and it coats your tongue, and it's not pleasant. You know, a little bit of hamburger grease is necessary to kind of get the sauce to gel and all that. But there's going to be plenty in the hamburger, and I just don't want it oily or heavy. Now, I could get a different pan, surely, but I don't want to have 6 million dirty pans. So bear with me, and I'll wash this one, and then we'll get going again. There we go, clean as a whistle. We'll turn that on. And now, there we go. All the grease is drained out of that. That looks much better. See how much better that looks? It's wonderful. Now, sour cream. A little water to get the rest of that out of there. We're going to need some water for this too. And this is a metal bottom pan, so I'm not worried about using a metal spoon in it. Yeah, we're going to need more water than that. Give us a sec. And a little beef bouillon. Give me a sec. There we go. All right, I want a little more onion powder and some sage. And don't be afraid to go a little bit heavy with it, just because this will swallow a lot of the spice. There we go. Looky, looky there. That's starting to look real good. You just bust those big nuggets of beef open just to make sure that they're getting done all the way through. That's a little hot. Let's turn it down and get a taste test. Oh yeah. That's what it's supposed to taste like. I tell you what it could almost stand. A little tiny dollop of white wine. Not a lot, just a little. That will give it some real nice flavor and give it some body. Now let me check and see if I've got some mushrooms for this other beef for my sandwich while that simmers a bit. I could have sworn I had some mushrooms, but I don't guess I do. Ah, that's all right. At least I've got some goat milk, which I normally use for my coffee, but every once in a while it's good. Cheers. Ah, yummy. Goaty goodness. That smells pretty awesome. I think I am going to put those peas in it, though. It's still a little hot. All right, let's get some peas in this. I hate these pull tabs. Yes, you can open them without a can opener. But with the other kind, you rarely need to go to the emergency room with bone deep lacerations, so there's a trade-off. All right. How many of those do we want in there? Oh man, those are good. I might just eat the rest of them by themselves. That's looking pretty awesome. It needs a little more juice in it, but it needs something that'll thicken up. There we go. More onion. And a little salt. Oddly enough, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm usually pretty heavy-handed on the salt, but tonight, it just needs a little. And again, I wish I had black pepper. Someone, please, next time I go to the store, remind me to get some black pepper. That said, let's do this. I'm going to turn this off for a second. Set it over here so you guys can see the finished product before we start on the chopped beef. Yeah, that's cool enough to move. All right, there's our noodles. Here's our beef and pea guac. And in it goes. Man, that smells good. That really smells good. And it's going to taste good too. And that'll be enough meal for a couple of days, you know? Especially since I'm also making the sandwich. Mmm. Yum, 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 yum. All right. I need somewhere to put this. Let me get this out of the way. There we go. All right. So we fold this together a little bit. We let it marry. I just want to dig into that right now. Unfortunately, we got more work to do. So, all right. Now, for my sandwich. Well, my sandwich meat, I should say. Again, we're going to want a little butter. Just to keep things from sticking to the pan. And you'll note, I might be moving this around with a metal knife, but I am not touching the metal knife to the surface of this nonstick pan. It's a very nice surface, and you don't want to scar it up with knives. Now remember, we already seasoned this beef, and it should not take too much to cook it all the way through. My disappointment is that I do not have any mushrooms left. And I wish I did, because they'd be real good in this. But, that said, it's still going to make a great sandwich. So what I'm going to do is wrap up this onion. Let's go get our croissant. Now, I had intended to do this on some kind of bun, but I don't have one. I've got these, and it's going to be just as good, if a little bit different tasting. Because, you know, most people don't think about the kind of bread that they put their sandwich on, but the kind of bread really does affect the sandwich, you know. Like, you could get a pumpernickel or a rye bun, or you could get like a Hawaiian sweet roll, or you could get like an onion roll, and they all do something different to what you put on them. Cheese, lettuce. I don't know, do we want mustard on this? Maybe. There we go. Starting to look pretty good, eh? What we're going to do here is go ahead and lay out a piece of Swiss on this, because when I dump the beef on it, the beef is going to be hot. And what what I don't want it to do is to get the bread all oily and odd, because croissants tend to have a lot of butter in them.
What I do want is for it to kind of melt that cheese and keep the beef all together in one piece. So, let's see what's going on over here. Cover that up a little bit. Let it simmer for a second.
Just so that it gets evenly done. I like medium rare, don't get me wrong, but Kroger beef that's been in my fridge for a few days does not need to be too rare.
Alright. So,
what we'll do in a second
is to deglaze this pan. Which will be nice because it'll get all that caramelized butter and beef grease off the side, and it'll turn it into a nice little brown glaze all over everything. That's going to be about half tasty. Meanwhile, we need a little bite of this stroganoff while we wait. Yum! Right, so here's your trick here. Let me point you guys in the right direction. One-handed with a burning hot pan. You guys know the drill. We'll just kind of tip that all out on there. Add another piece of Swiss. Let it melt. The rest of this I'll stick in a bowl or on a plate or something. Or heck, I can just dump it in with the stroganoff. I bet that'll be good. Sure, why not? Alright. Now, I don't know which is less entertaining for you guys, watching me clean a pan or watching cheese melt, but for right now, we're going to go with watching me clean this pan. And after we get that out of the way, I think I'm going to probably wrap up the stream, go eat my dinner, and throw it over to somebody else for the evening. As always, I clean my pans while they're hot. You can see the steam coming up off of them. And the reason I do that is because everything comes off of them real easy. Now, mind you, don't let the water soak all the way through your washcloth if you can help it, because water carries heat a lot better than air does. And it will carry it right into your hand. There you go, clean as a whistle. All right. Now let's finish up this hot beef and Swiss here. A little salt. Little lettuce, because I like lettuce. And boom. That's pretty much all there is to it. It's going to be a real messy sandwich, but I don't care, because it's also going to be a real tasty sandwich. Which kind of